And hello, everybody of the Game Changer Sports Network community. We're still rocking out, apparently. All right, there we go. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition, episode 4, Trouble, of Squared Circle Talk. I'm Nick Lombardi. To my whatever direction you're seeing it as is Mr. Martin Lee. The MVPs tonight, holding it down. Jake will be on later with us. Mike's not going to be able to join us until next week, but we're still going to have a great time, aren't we, Martin?
Yes, we are.
Absolutely. And I want to say a big hello to Heather. Heather is on every single show consistently. I have never seen this much consistency with someone. Every show asking great questions, always keeping everybody in line and driving conversation. We love that. What's going on, Tim? What's happening with you? Luther saying, sorry, Martin, that the Bruins lost, bro. How you feeling, Martin?
All I gotta say is, hopefully we win tonight.
Yeah, no, let's see. Let's see. Hopefully so. And of course, if you guys want to talk hockey, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow night when we have our awesome hockey show with all the great people here at GCSN. Of course, I'm drawing a blank because I'm doing 3 things at once, which I should not do. What's going on, Ethan Clark? We're so happy you are here. And of course, our great friend Dean. How are you, man? Hope everything is doing fantastic for you. But Martin, we had a very, very eventful weekend this past week. Me and you were a part of course, the best and greatest SummerSlam watch party in the history of watch parties. We had an awesome time. But we had a couple of other events that happened this past weekend as well. And one of those, of course, is NXT TakeOver. And I thought this would be a great place to start since it is Wednesday. And of course, NXT is on TV right now.
Yeah, and we're about to get something from Karrion Kross, which I'm afraid is gonna be that he's gonna be vacating the title. I'm scared it's gonna be him vacating the title.
Yeah, well, right now he's live on USA Network right now on TV. We're going to see what ends up happening here. We'll let you guys know. And guys, let us know if you see anything and let us know right in the comments. Oh, look at this. Our friend Ezekiel. Look at this guy. Who is this? Ezekiel saying, hey, it's Nick, the baseball guy. That's right. I also do wrestling. Isn't that great? Dean saying the Flyers are going to win the cup. But that's not neither here or there. No, we obviously know what's going on with Karrion Kross, but let's just talk about the quality of show that we got at NXT TakeOver. I'll start with you, Martin. Overall, general feelings on the show.
I thought it was a pretty good show for what they had. It was a pretty good show. I enjoyed the ladder match. That was a good one. But my favorite match of them all probably has to be Kross versus Lee, because that was an amazing match.
I completely agree with you, and I'm right now, of course, adjusting things, so that's why I'm rushing up to your screen right now, people. I apologize. I know you don't want to see this too close. But I agree with you. I mean, the World Championship match between Karrion Kross and Keith Lee was out of this world. I really liked it. At first, I thought it was a little sluggish at first, but it ended up being really, 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 really great. Let's go down the list of matches that we had. We started the night, of course, with the number 1 contenders match on the pre-show for the NXT Tag Team Championships. You had Breezango taking on Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus Legado del Fantasma And personally, I thought this was a really, really good match. It had a lot of back and forth, a lot of high-flying stuff. I was surprised, though, to see Breezango take the win here. I feel like Breezango is one of those teams that, they just, they're kind of the veterans here. They're the ones, who are kind of like, there to make others look really, really good, and not ones that would normally go for a championship. But hey, they're really entertaining, and I'm excited. I'm happy that they're there.
Yeah, I thought that Arrowhead Phantasma, that team was going to win it because they're building that stable up very good right now, and that was the perfect time to give them the number one contendership for the NXT tag titles. But I guess they want to give the contendership to Breezango.
Yeah, it's interesting because last week on the show, I made, I think, what I'm now deducing as a bit of an ignorant comment where I said that I did not feel that they were pushing them as well as I thought they could. But when I thought about it a little bit more, what I realized is, man, they really do push them hard. They're making that NXT Cruiserweight Championship feel important, and he just kind of radiates awesomeness from to the other guys and stuff. I thought it was the time for them. I have my volume off, but I'm watching right now as Karrion Kross is leaving the ring.
Yep.
Not with the title. He seems to have put the title on the mat and is leaving with an hourglass next to it. I am going to guess that means Karrion Kross has just vacated the World Championship.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just thought he vacated the NXT Championship, which is really sad because he is a really good wrestler. But when that match ended, it ended a little funny. And then during the match, I thought that Kross injured himself. And after the match, it was announced that Kross was injured. So I was like, oh boy, are we going to have I think we're going to have a Finn Balor 2.0 situation on our hands. And then when WWE, when they posted that Kross was going to make an announcement, I was confirmed that he was gonna relinquish the title, because usually when champions do make an announcement, it's to relinquish the title.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunately this has been a theme of NXT. Also to remind you guys that Wade Barrett is now part of the announced team for tonight, which is great. But it's definitely difficult where they keep getting themselves in the situation where NXT World Champions have these awesome matches and they immediately have to drop the title. I agree with you there, Ethan. It is very sad. You don't ever want to see that. Keith Lee goes to the main roster. That's true. And Keith Lee has now gone to the main roster. That's a huge blow to NXT. That really, really leaves a gaping hole in what they can do next. Martin, if you had to make a guess, who's winning? Or who's the next person in line to possibly take that championship?
It's hard to say right now because I can't really think of anyone right now. You got Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis maybe, but I'm not so sure. But I was sure that Karrion Kross was going to be the next NXT champion, and he was. But unfortunately, I think he separated his shoulder. And he vacated the belt.
Yeah, no, Karrion Kross definitely, they pushed him straight up to the moon. I think they still even made him look good just here in the way he did it, putting the hourglass there, reminding the person that whatever ends up happening, I will be back for my championship at some point soon. And separated shoulder, it shouldn't be that long of a time. Hopefully he comes back soon. Now, Ethan Clark here, he's saying Ciampa or Balor. Someone on the official GCSN is saying Adam Cole, baby. Definitely an option. They might have to do a bit of an alternate route here with what they may have been planning for Adam Cole, because, without Adam Cole, without characters like that, NXT just feels a little lackluster. Dean Yates brings the name Gargano into it. Oop, I just lost him here. Here you go. Dina brings Gargano into it. He also brings of Dream.
No.
A lot of heat on him right now, so I don't know. And
you can't do that. No, you cannot do that. Dream is too much heat right now with the roster and everything. You can't do that. If they put the title on him, that will be a mistake right there.
I think that you're probably right there, man. I mean, Dream just seems to have so much heat on him right now that I don't know if it would necessarily be a good move for that. We'll have to see how that plays out. But let's keep going down the list with NXT TakeOver. I know there was some breaking news that deterred us there, but let's keep going here over NXT. You had Finn Balor taking on Timothy Thatcher, another match that I knew was going to be good, but I did not think it would go the way it did. Finn Balor ended up picking up the W over Timothy Thatcher, and does maybe that help his stock for possibly a world title run, to try to stabilize NXT at the moment?
Yeah, I think it does, because when Finn, you got a guy that's a veteran like Finn Balor, and he could really be a credible champion right now in NXT because the people love him and he has history with NXT. So there are some options that they can do with him.
No, there's definitely a lot of options you can do with him. I still think Thatcher has a really, 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 really good upside on him. He presents such a different style of wrestling that is lost, I think, in today's world. But good match regardless. One of the matches you probably forget when you have this card here, but a really, really good match. Up next after that, we had an awesome NXT North American Championship ladder match. It seems like this is becoming a tradition with the North American Championship, and I love it. It's one I really like. Damian Priest ended up picking up the W over Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Johnny Gargano, and Velveteen Dream. I'm going to ask you right now, Martin, who do you think was the MVP of this match? We know, obviously, Damian Priest is the new NXT North American Champion, but who really stood out to you in this match?
It's tough to say, but out of all of them, we already know a lot about Dream and Gargano and Priest. We already know a lot of them, but the guy that really stood out to me the most is Cameron Grimes.
I have to really agree with you.
He looks so amazing over in that match. I mean, I love his character. He is amazing. I mean, he showed me something on Saturday night, and to me, before Johnny came up to grab the belt, I thought that Cameron Grimes was going to win. And then I thought Johnny was going to win, and then he got Priest in there to get the belt. And I like that decision by NXT to put the title in Priest because I think it's time for him to get a title.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Priest is a really, really awesome wrestler. He has too much of a good look for him to not be in a main spot on the card, and he's an awesome wrestler to back it up. I completely agree with you that Cameron Grimes really, really showed up for me. He did, an awesome job, played his part perfectly, just being this scrappy, crazy kind of guy who just is doing everything he can to win, and he doesn't care who he takes down with him. He will be a big name, I think, in NXT sooner rather than later. I think that he might even, he might be somebody who's going to fight for the title very soon. We have Tim Taylor saying that he thought Reed was MVP there. Dean Yates agreeing with him, saying Reed really stood out to him. He puts it, especially with that Bam Bam gear. That's right. He did go out with the Bam Bam attire. That was very, very funny. But yeah, no, I think this was an awesome match. It was the number 3 match of the night for me, especially with the next couple of matches we're going to talk about here soon. Ezekiel also agreeing that he thinks it was Reed. So let's keep moving down here. Great work by all these guys, and of course we have a new NXT World Champion, which is going to be a lot of fun. And currently now, I should mention that on NXT television we are getting that championship match between Breezango and the members of Imperium. So we'll keep you up to date on that. The next match was the dreaded. It's at first dreaded, to be honest, dreaded by me. You know what? Actually, before we get into this, Tim, I did see your question, so I'm going to bring that up. Who's going to fight Damian Priest for the title next? If I had to guess, would I be crazy to say Bronson Reed there, Martin?
No, especially if Priest is still heel. If Priest is still heel, then I think Bronson Reed is the next contender.
I mean, I think that's a very, very, very good point. I think they have to see where they go with Priest, because he can easily play the cool bad guy or the cool tweener or something like that. But it does seem like what they're probably going to do is they're going to keep him as a heel. So if that's the case, yeah, you want him to go up against the babyface to start. Then I think after that, Cameron Grimes maybe could claim his spot, which would be a lot of fun. The next matchup, it was a match that we were all kind of talking down. We were all very nervous about. We were all kind of was the Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee match. Straight up match, singles match. No, not a no disqualification match, not a no holds barred match, not a false count anywhere match. Straight up match. There were definitely shenanigans involved and stuff, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Pat McAfee had a awesome night. I think he played his part perfectly. I think he wrestled not bad at all. I thought that his facial expressions, his way about him was perfect for a wrestling ring. And I think that when you're in there with Adam Cole, you can't do wrong. Honestly, the number 2 match on the night for me, a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. What about you, Martin?
Yeah, I enjoyed that match very much. At the start, I was like, okay, well, how is this match going to go? Because you got Cole, who is an experienced wrestler, and Pat McAfee, who is getting in the ring for the first time. And after seeing this match, I gotta say, Pat McAfee is great in the ring. He showed me a lot during that match. He can go in the ring. His moves were great. His expressions, it was all great. And to me, I'm surprised that he went to the top rope and he did some high flying stuff.
I know. Went up there, did a little bit of a swanton almost, a little bit of a senton. I thought that was fantastic. I really think that oh wow. So now we got a hot take here for Mr. John Moore. He's not on the show yet, but he's already ready to take it. Real quick, Tim Tobin saying Swerve should get a title shot. That would be an awesome match. I think that would actually work out really well. But Jacob John Moore said Pat McAfee had a better debut match than Ronda Rousey. I said what I said, and you can't change my mind. Now, I don't know if I would say it was a better match, because I think that, honestly, the Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon match was just so much fun, so over the top, and so unexpectedly good. I don't think it was a better match. But I will give credit to what Jake is saying here, that this was a one-on-one match. Ronda Rousey had the advantage of being a fighter, and she had been training for WWE for a while, and she was in the ring with, two of the greatest, you have 2 amazing characters and 1 amazing wrestler in Triple H, or at least 1 well-known wrestler in Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And then you're working with who your partner is arguably the best athlete to ever step between the ropes. The confirmed best amateur wrestler in the history of the United States in Kurt Angle. Pat McAfee had to go in there and just stand face-to-face with Adam Cole, baby. You have to say, it's part of the religion. You have to say Adam Cole, baby, every time you do it. And he put on a great show. He had a really, really good time, and he had to stand on his own abilities. Martin, what do you think? Do you think that one was better than the other?
Yeah, both matches were good, but like you said, Pat McAfee had a lot less to work with, because look at Ronda Rousey. She had Kurt Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon, which is a lot to work with, because she was in the ring with 3 great talent. But when you look at Pat McAfee, it was a one-on-one match, no partner, do it on your own. And to me, I think Pat McAfee had the better debut match than Ronda Rousey. I gotta give Pat McAfee credit. And I can see why Jake's saying that match was better than Ronda's match. But it was tough to say. But I gotta say that Pat McAfee definitely had the better match than Ronda.
I think you might be right there, even though both matches were a lot of fun. Dean Yates saying he agrees with Jake. If the match had a crowd, it would have been better than Rousey's. If you had a full arena of people there, that might have been better. I mean, that might have been a better atmosphere of that kind. Jay saying, you gotta say baby. You always gotta say baby, man. Of course you do. And everybody here, thank you so much for joining us. If you're just joining us now, we're about 20 minutes in to Squared Circle Talk. We are live over the airways of Game Changer Sports Network. We are being streamed, of course, also on Talk Interference Sports and Circus Monkey Sports. So make sure you check out their pages too. We appreciate them. And we appreciate all the people that are watching us on YouTube as well as Twitch. Thank you so much for everyone on Twitch. It is super important for us to get as many viewers and as many followers in there as possible. So, guys, do us all a favor. If you have Twitch, get over to Twitch. I don't need to see you on Facebook. Get over on Twitch. That'll really help us out. Jake Jollymore has a comment. Martin, I love when you agree with me.
I love it.
I will not deny that Martin is a sexy bitch. Okay, let's keep going here. Definitely a lot of fun. Up next after this match, and Tim, I do see your comment, but I want to get to that when we talk about SummerSlam later in the show. We had Io Shirai defending her title against Dakota Kai. And, this match is one that, we all, I think this was one where we all unanimously agreed that Io Shirai was going to walk out as champion. Dakota Kai and her had a great match. It went almost 20 minutes. Raquel Gonzalez is such a force, and I've never seen somebody look like that. She's just really, really built. I'm going to ask you, Martin, where do you think someone like Dakota Kai goes from here? Do you think she's hit her ceiling? Do you ever think that she's going to be near an NXT Women's Championship again?
I think she will be, but right now, I think that it's not her time. It's definitely not her time right now because she has talent. She can be a talented wrestler. But Io is the champion right now, and I cannot see her cover the title anytime soon. Maybe to Mercedes Martinez, I'm not sure. But once Io goes and Io's time is over, then I can see Dakota Kai climbing right back up to the NXT Women's Championship. But for one thing, please separate Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai from each other. We don't need to see those two together again.
Yeah, no, it was.
We already seen enough of those two.
Yeah. You know how I feel about that, Martin. I get vicious about it. For the love of God, get us away from those two. But no, in all seriousness, they are doing a good thing by not involving her. Now, of course, they did now involve Miss Rhea Ripley into the feud because of the post-match beatdown. Who came in to help out, which was Rhea Ripley. And now they're going to be having a tag team match later on tonight over on NXT. Dean Yates makes a point. He says nothing stands out about her. And I have to agree with him. There's nothing. Honestly, it's amazing because as much as we're joking about how keep Tegan Nox and keep Dakota Kai separate from each other, they're both just so similar in that I don't take anything, personable away from them. There's nothing, proprietary about them. And I just think that that's a sad thing. And he follows this up by saying, unless it's in some multi-person match, I don't see her ever winning a title. What do you think Dakota Kai can do to break out a little bit just from being this middle-of-the-pack wrestler, Martin?
It's tough to say because she has talent, but to break out, that'll be interesting. Maybe feud with someone like Rhea Ripley, maybe, because Rhea Ripley needs a feud with someone she needs a feud with someone, maybe feud with, is because there's not really a lot of NXT face one right now. Maybe Shotzi Blackheart, maybe Mia Yim, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting because and you bring up Rhea Ripley, which is such a good point. Rhea Ripley, she needs a good tune-up feud again. You need one where she goes in there and she's dominant and she wins. Right now, they're teasing this whole thing between her and Raquel, and it kind of makes sense. They both have very similar body types. They're very imposing forces. It makes sense that they would fight each other. But with that said, it's like I'm sitting there saying to myself, man, do I really, really, really want to watch, her have to beat Raquel? Because that's what she ultimately has to do. I really, really, really do not want that to happen. Jennifer Pitts is saying that he's a big sports fan. He's not happy about Brady changing teams. You might not like that. I know Martin doesn't like that because he's a New England fan. But if you want to talk football, guys, you missed the day. But I would urge you to check out yesterday's episode over of 60 Yard Dash. And every Tuesday you can catch 60 Yard Dash for great stuff right there. Dean makes a really, really, really good comment here. He says she needs that Becky Nia moment or needs to cut a promo that makes you care. And I'm assuming he's referring here to Rhea Ripley. And finishing up my point from before, I don't want to see her go in here and just floor Raquel Gonzalez, because Raquel Gonzalez to me has a lot of upside. But she definitely needs me to make her care about her again. They did a great job of doing that when she beat Shayna Baszler for the championship. She did a lot too when she went up to Charlotte Flair and challenged her at WrestleMania. But since she's lost to Charlotte, I feel like it's just been a downhill spiral for her. Martin, what do you think? Do you think that, is it just a feud she needs to have and win? Is it a promo? Is it another kind of moment? What do you think?
So are you talking about Dakota Kai here?
Or Rhea Ripley here.
Oh, Rhea Ripley, all right. Because I think it's interesting because Rhea Ripley is phenomenal. She can go in the ring. She is amazing on the mic. We all know how amazing she is on the mic. But I think she needs that one feud to get her over the top to where she was before she got Charlotte. Before she got Charlotte, she had Shayna Baszler. And maybe, just maybe, that feud is Mercedes Martinez. But I think that feud is gonna be Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, man, that would be a good one because while
Breaking news!
Oh.
Breezango are the new tag champs.
Whoa! Na 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 da 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 na 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 da da da. All right.
That really surprised me because
that is shocking. Imperium loses on the cusp, on the edge of NXT UK about to make its return.
Yeah, I think they wanted to take them off, and this might be why they wanted to do this, because NXT UK is returning, and they probably
want over the pond, baby.
Get them back over to NXT UK and get them to win the NXT UK tag team titles with Walter by their side.
I mean, it makes sense, and that awesome promo from Walter we saw at NXT Takeover on the screen, and the build up now to NXT UK coming back. It would definitely be really cool to have them there again. Jake is not approving of my dun 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 dun.
Oh God!
I love that stuff, man. Jim is saying that you gotta get back into wrestling, fan. Martin, I wish we had the Undertaker again. Oh, we got the Undertaker again. But as we've talked, we're tired of the Undertaker. We don't want to see him. But so yes, good match with Io Shirai and Dakota Kai. A little forgetful, but it sets up for bigger things to come. Hopefully for Io as she just continues to run rampant through this division. And then we get the main event: Karrion Kross, of course, with Scarlett taking on Keith Lee. Keith Lee ends up losing. On Monday, he shows up on Raw. We'll talk about that a little bit.
When we get to Raw, I gotta say something about that Keith Lee debut right there.
All right. So we're gonna get there in a minute. But let's talk about this Karrion Kross match with Keith Lee. Obviously, now we know the facts are that Karrion Kross would end up separating his shoulder, and tonight had to vacate the title. Overall, though, what did you think of their match? I think at first it was a little slow, especially considering the matches we had just before it that were so fast-paced and super entertaining. This was really a grind between two big hosses, just absolutely clubbing each other. Even though they're big guys, two different kinds of styles. Keith Lee's a very agile person, and Karrion Kross is a methodical kind of person in on his own right. What did you think of the match overall, Martin?
I liked it. It was a pretty solid match. It was a pretty good match for me to watch. It was a stand-up match, and it really kept me interested. And to me, the finish was a little weird because I thought the finish might have been done a little rushed because I thought the finish was a little rushed. So I was like, "What's happening?" And then when it came out that Kross separated his shoulder, I was like, "Okay, now the finish makes sense." They tapped them out so quickly.
Yeah, no, they really did it. It was a very, very quick finish there. I thought that the presentation of Cross though was so epic, and I think that the way that they did him here as he relinquished the championship is still done in a way that he retains his, as I called it, the badassness, and it makes you that when he comes back to TV, he's going to just insert himself right back into the main event and not have a problem. Because I do not think anyone's going to forget about Mr. Karrion Cross.
Oh, of course they are.
No, there's no way. It's not possible. And now, guys, we are at the first 30-minute mark of course, the 2-hour special, which is Squared Circle Talk here on the Game Changer Sports Network. I want to remind everybody again, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you like, share, and make sure you follow us so you get that notification every time anybody on the Game Changer Sports Network goes live. So overall, if you had to give this show a grade average from A down to F, and everything in between, Martin, what do you give this show?
I give it a solid B.
A solid B. I think a B is a fair score. It wasn't an over-the-top great takeover. It was takeover 30. It's amazing we've had 30 of these at this point. But definitely an interesting show, a fun show. And I think that the highlight of the night is just the fact that Pat McAfee actually really showed up and had a great match.
Yeah, it was.
I think so. So let's move right along. I wasn't going to do this just yet, but I want to do it now. Let's talk about SummerSlam, Martin, because we're here. Let's talk about SummerSlam. Let's talk about the biggest party of the summer. I'll ask you this. Was it the biggest party of the summer, Martin? Did you feel good? Did you feel excited? What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I was excited after watching that one because it was a pretty good pay-per-view. And they had some good matches like Drew versus Randy. Asuka versus Bayley was pretty good. Fiend versus Bray was good as well. Dominic versus Seth was good. All around it was a good night of wrestling.
I think so. Heather Young is saying she thought that NXT was an A-, and so did Dean Yates at the same time. Jinx! Look at that. But A-, I mean, that's a high grade. I don't know if I'd give it an A-, but definitely maybe a BB+, but we'll go back to that later on. So here we are. Let's talk about SummerSlam. Let's just go down right down the list. We had an awesome show, an awesome watch party. All of you came to show out and support. We really appreciate it. Me, Martin, our great friend Andrew, and of course, another member of the GCSN team, Mr. Matt Boyce. We had a really, really awesome time. It was a lot of fun. But let's go down the match list here. To start the night off, they had Apollo Crews taking on MVP. Really a forgettable match. Let's not spend any real time on it. Apollo Crews beats MVP to retain the United States Championship, and that kind of just makes sense. But to kick off the official show, we had SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley taking on Asuka with Sasha Banks in her corner. And just as I predicted, Bayley was going to go first against Asuka, but I have to tell you, I did not expect this good of a match out of Bayley and Asuka. What did you think, Martin?
I think it was better than what we expected. But what surprises me was that Bayley defeated Asuka. Because I just thought that Asuka was going to win the match, and she was going to beat Bayley, and then she was going to go on to face Sasha, then hopefully lose the title against Sasha, lose the Raw Women's Championship against versus Sasha, which I wanted that to happen, and it works. But nope, it didn't happen. But outside of that, it was a pretty good match. Both competitors really have great chemistry with each other. They are all out in the ring, and so I thought it was a pretty good match.
Definitely was a really good match. And I think that, again, like you just said, we got a lot more out of it than we thought. I was totally wrong in my prediction where I thought exactly like you thought, Martin, that it would be Bayley losing her title and Sasha retaining. Instead, it was the opposite way around. And I think that her and Bayley really, really fought really, really hard. And really showed that Bayley is she was one of the 4 horsewomen for a reason. I know that maybe this time as heel Bayley, she hasn't always been booked the strongest, but she could still bell to bell have a great match with anybody, and especially had a really, really great match with Asuka. I thought it was a really, really good time. Then we'll continue going through the night here. We had the Street Profits taking on Andrade and Angel Garza. And I have to tell you, while the match was entertaining, I was not happy with the result here. I really thought Andrade and Garza should have taken the belts, but now they're kind of pushing this storyline where they're going to break up. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if I like this. What do you think, Martin?
The match was entertaining. Both teams really had a great match, but I'm like you. I thought that Andrade and Angel Garza were going to get a pull off and win the tag titles, because there's a lot you can do with Angel Garza and Andrade as a tag team. And the Street Profits, I think their reign as champions is now kind of dull a little bit. And I think it's time for Angel Garza and Andrade to win the titles. And like you said, it's time. They might be moving into Angel Garza and Andrade being separated, which I'm not really a fan of. Which I can see, like, maybe Angel Garza could be the face, but I'd rather him be the heel and him being the cocky heel. I just want those two to be the tag team champions.
Yeah, I just think that at this point that the tag team titles are just a trophy, especially on Raw. They aren't a real championship. They are just, there. They exist. It's a placeholder, and it just feels boring. And again, I know that's a little harsh, especially for the Street Profits, who are such an awesome team. I love Dawkins. I love Montez Ford. I really do, really, really do. But I just really don't see this going anywhere bigger. I mean, it's not like there's any major tag teams that are getting called up. It's not like there's any new feuds on the horizon. I really thought that it'd be different to give it to Garza and Andrade, but they decided not to do that. Real disappointing. I thought this was their time, especially at the SummerSlam. That would have been cool. It's not like the Street Profits have taken any major losses anytime recently. They could have easily bounced back. But is what it is. It happened, and as we saw on Monday night, they're still teasing dissension between everyone in the group. It can definitely lead to problem. We then had Mandy Rose taking on Sonya Deville in a no disqualification loser leaves WWE match. We've talked about this on the pre-show for it as well as the show for it, that this match was originally going to be a hair versus hair match. But then it was quickly changed to a no disqualification, then to a loser leaves WWE match, where it seems as though a big reason why this was happening is because Sonya Deville had personal problems in her life. As we all know, she had the legal issue where someone tried to break into her home, and she's kind of involved in a lot of legal things with that, and possibly some other counseling, other self-help things that she might be doing. So we all kind of figured this was going to be a time for her to walk away, get right, do what she has to do privately, and then come back at another time. And I think that's pretty much what happened here. Her and Mandy had an okay match, not the worst. Definitely a little boring. Definitely, I call it a bathroom break match. But in the end, Mandy Rose wins. Sonya Deville kind of gives a heartfelt thank you to everybody on social media. And I don't know when the next time we're going to see Sonya Deville. To me, personally, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Martin, what do you think WWE has to do with Mandy Rose now? I mean, she's still here. They seem to love her a lot. They like to put her in primo spots. She is, the girlfriend on TV of Otis, who is the Mr. Money in the Bank that we always seem to forget is Mr. Money in the Bank. What do you think they have to do with Mandy Rose? I mean, because I think at some point she's just going to become, I'm an attractive girl on TV, but I really don't contribute anything.
Yeah, I think they need to get her in the better feuds because she's talented, but she needs to work with better superstars. Because yes, Sonya Deville is amazing, but we need to see her more than just with Sonya Deville, because all I've seen from Mandy is just her against Sonya. So I need to see more out of her. They have something with Mandy. Maybe they can put her against maybe someone like a Lacey Evans, and maybe put her against another heel superstar woman, maybe against Tamina. I'm not exactly sure.
Oh boy, Tamina, here we go.
but maybe it's Tamina, but I'm not so sure. But all I know is if she ever has a no disqualification match again, I hope that she learns how to go to get the table in, and she learns how to break through a table.
She was struggling there with that table. I was like, oh my God, someone help her. And the ref had to jump in and help her, which is like the weird. I've never seen a ref help another wrestler set up a table before to put someone through it. It just doesn't happen ever.
It took her like 5 minutes.
It took her a little while.
It took her like 5 minutes to put a dang table in there. It's not that hard, but it's just something that I hope she learns.
Yeah, hopefully she'll pick it up soon. It'll be something that she something that she just learns in what she does. But she'll probably not be involved in many no disqualification matches.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, because that wasn't a little rough. But I agree with you in the point of Mandy Rose of, listen, you have to do something with her. She's a great character in your opinion, WWE. You put all this stock in her. You really seem to like her look, the identity that she presents. Put her in feuds that matter. Put her in situations that matter, that aren't directly tied to something of her past. Ethan is saying that spot was rather awkward. I agree with you there, Ethan. But put her in a feud with somebody who is actually going to advance her more than just her being the sidekick to Otis or the sidekick to Sonya Deville, which now you can't even do anymore. You can't rely on that feud anymore because it feels like they've been feuding or being involved with each other forever. It feels like since she's come to the main roster, that's what she's been doing. So that's definitely something that they need to kind of figure out and do. So, I think that if they don't do it sooner rather than later, especially if they don't really do anything with Otis anytime soon, then she's just going to get super stale and not interesting at all, just like her boyfriend Otis. So that's that. And now let's go to another really good match with someone who is not really a wrestler, but I think should be one, if not soon, if down the road for sure. We had Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah himself, along with his disciple Buddy Murphy, as they took on Dominic Mysterio, who was, of course, flanked by his father, Rey Mysterio. It was in a street fight, nearly a half-hour match. I thought they did awesome. I mean, really, really awesome. We've seen little bits of greatness from Dominic before. When I say greatness, I mean just flashy stuff from Dominic before. We saw it for the first time, with him and his father during the Brock Lesnar feud. But now we got a chance to see him on his own in a ring. Obviously there was stipulations involved, and there was a lot of, quirky things happening and fun things happening on the side. But I really, really, really enjoyed this match. I really enjoyed Dominic, and I think Dominic's going to be a future WWE superstar, Martin.
Yeah, it was heading into this match. I did not know what I was expecting from Dominic because, as you said, he always saw a little bits of him against his spots against him. But when this Mojo, we hadn't seen it in a full-fledged match. But in his first full-fledged match, I gotta say, Dominic really impressed me out there because it was I thought those two put on an amazing match. I mean, heading into the match, I was like, okay, what is Dominic made of? And I felt that Dominic, this was going to be a big night for him, and this was going to make or break him. And I think he really impressed a lot of people tonight because he is quick in the ring. He knows how to sell. He definitely knows how to sell. He showed he showed that he can do great as a high fly moves, and he can just do a lot of stuff in the ring.
No, I think he showed he has grit. I think he showed he has resilience. I think he showed that he can evict emotion and get it from people, which I think is the most important thing when you're a wrestler. You want people to care about you. You want people to buy into what you're doing. And every time you get hurt, someone is there cheering to try to motivate you to get back up. And when you're doing great, when the face, gets the heel in the corner and he's just wailing on him and starts stomping mud holes in him, you want the crowd to be excited for that. So he gets it. I think he just has the magic in him. I think when you're the son of arguably the greatest luchador of all time, or at least the most well-known luchador of all time, that's what happens. I think it was the right decision to have Seth Rollins go over him. I thought that the ending spot with having him with Rey Mysterio handcuffed to the ropes and him trying to help Dominic and he couldn't help him and watched him get stomped, I thought was perfect because like I said on the preview show, I really felt that they had to remind you how sick and how twisted Seth Rollins could be without doing something hokey like removing an eye. So I think that they were able to do that. He looked sinister, he looked evil, he looked powerful again, while still putting over Dominic enough to make you buy into the match, Martin.
Yeah, because he really bought me because his emotion was amazing. And to me, I think if there was a crowd there, he would have gotten over the crowd. I think he would have gotten over.
No, I completely agree with you. Definitely would have gotten over. Should mention right now that there is no escape because Daddy's back home. Mr. Tommaso Ciampa is back in NXT, and he is laying the smackers down on whoever he's in the ring with right now. He, just really, 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 really going to town right now, stomping away. So excited for him to be back on TV. I would almost guess that he's even a top contender for the NXT World Championship, at least to get into the mix.
Yeah, of course he has to.
Yeah. Wait, say that one more time, Martin? I'm sorry, I lost you there.
Yeah, of course he has to be big contender.
Yeah, has to. I mean, he's a face. He's one of those well-known people in NXT, and right now is one of the only big-time superstars you have in your main event. I mean, what's your main event right now? Your main event is him, Adam Cole, Balor,
Gargano,
Dexter Lumis. I guess Velveteen Dream, but definitely not maybe the best position. Not the worst, but not the best. Let's keep going down the SummerSlam list here. We now get the second match that we were talking about before, WWE Raw Women's Championship match between Asuka and Sasha Banks. And as we know, Asuka would end up defeating Banks by tap out. And this was, I thought, a really good match, too. I was on the edge of my seat. We were all kind of going back and forth, going, who's going to win this one? Because we knew that the WWE wasn't going to have Asuka look bad at SummerSlam, but you were still saying to yourself, man, Sasha, relatively speaking, she almost feels like she just won the NXT championship, the Raw Women's Championship. You wouldn't want to take it off of her immediately, and well, they did. And Sasha looked really devastated at the prospect of her losing it. What do you think of their match overall, Martin?
I thought it was a good match. I liked Bayley versus Asuka better than Sasha versus Asuka. To me, I thought it was a decent match, but I really saw that Sasha was gonna win it. But then you showed me a curveball, and I thought Sasha was gonna win. Yeah, I thought Sasha was gonna win. Yeah, Sasha won, right?
Yeah, Sasha. Asuka won. Asuka.
Yeah, I forgot for a second.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna win, but then you throw your curveball and you give me Asuka, which is interesting. But now you're back to square one. You're back to square one with
Bayley. Said it. You said it on the stream. You said now you're back to square one.
You're back to square one with Bayley being the champion and Sasha being the sidekick. And what more can you do with that?
Yeah,
what more can you do? Because we already know what you can do with that. But I'd rather Bayley lose the title and Sasha being the champion and Bayley being the sidekick and see how that dynamic goes.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was going to be the more interesting story, was make it that Bayley was the one without a title and Sasha's the champion, and now you challenge Bayley to be the supportive best friend for Sasha, because now she has to prove that she wasn't just using Sasha to keep her title. And now you kind of can't do that, but you still kind of can. You could make it that Bayley is just happy with having her own belt and not really being sensitive to Sasha, I guess. I don't know. But I think that it might have been the wrong move with those two. But at the end of the day, the best thing in the world was not having Asuka become a two-time person with 2 belts. That would have been a complete disaster. It would have buried both Sasha and Bayley. Not buried, but it would really hurt them. So I'm happy with what they did. And yeah, they might be at square one, but if they can find a way to make the story now interesting, then I'm going to be behind it. But if it just feels like the same Sasha Bayley dynamic that we've been seeing for months, not really crazy about it. So, that's my thought on that right there. And then we get our 2 main event matches on the night. You have Drew McIntyre taking on the WWE champion Drew McIntyre, defending his title against the legend, the living legend, the man of destiny, as you can tell, he's my favorite wrestler, Mr. Randy Orton. I thought, a really good match. There was so much psychology that went into this match because, as the tagline of SummerSlam goes, it was, you're never going to see it coming. And this is what people thought the tagline was about. It was about this match. It was a really, really, Ethan Clark made a really interesting point. I have to distract myself here for a second. He says, that might put in the fact that Sasha has never retained her title once. Is that true? Has Sasha never retained her championship?
Outside of NXT TakeOver or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think she ever retained any title outside of the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I know she retained the NXT Women's Championship, but that's interesting because it makes sense because she was in that feud with Charlotte, where they were trying to basically build up Charlotte's numbers so that she'd be, have a lot of championship reigns and stuff like that. Wow, what an interesting take. Ethan, thank you so much for bringing that up to us. And guys, if you ever have interesting topics, ideas, questions, or thoughts, please make sure you comment. Let us know what you're thinking. But back to our Randy Orton-Drew McIntyre match. I thought that, again, the whole tagline was, you'll never see it coming. And everyone was building up to the point that in this match, one Claymore or one RKO or punt, and the match is over. So the whole match almost became like a defensive chess game where each man knew at any second the other guy can use their ultimate weapon, and they were just trying to get away, trying to be defensive while being aggressive at each other at the same time. And then what we get is a roll-up win from Drew McIntyre. And at first I was kind of like, really? A roll-up? But moments later, I said to myself, this was the best way you could have done this without a no disqualification or no contest ending. What do you think about that, Martin? Do you think it was a good way to finish the match?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good way to finish the match because, like you said, the tagline was, you'll never see it coming. And I thought we were going to see a Claymore, maybe an RKO, but both guys were very defensive, countering a lot. And I liked that, and I thought it was an interesting match, and it was amazing how you could have that much of an interesting match without your finisher. And
Jake is here, baby.
Hey, well, my brothers, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great.
We're doing just great. We are coming towards the end of our SummerSlam review, talking about the last 2 matches. But Jake, I want to do a full thing with you with the matches previous, but I want to make sure we get these 2 matches down first, and then we'll go back to the other ones for you.
Sounds good.
So, Martin, go ahead. Finish what you were saying there, man.
But yeah, they counted everything. And it was amazing how you could have that kind of a match without any of them pulling off any of their finishing moves. I thought it was amazing, and the roll-up was amazing.
Yes,
I get why people say that it was kind of a weird finish. I get why people would say that, but it was the best thing to do to protect both guys and not have it be no DQ and no contest.
Yeah, no, I think that definitely they were put in a tough spot because you have Randy Orton on the rise. You're obviously building him towards other things, as well as Drew McIntyre, who's just become WWE champion since WrestleMania, and you don't necessarily want him to lose a match. Jake, since we're talking about the match, what did you think about the WWE Championship match?
They should have pulled the trigger on Randy Orton.
Interesting. Okay. Do you think that despite the fact that they're building up Drew McIntyre, despite the fact that he beat Brock Lesnar, I think this is a very valid discussion point.
Yep.
At this point, just go ahead and give Randy Orton the title.
Randy Orton has been doing by far the best work of his career in 2020. In the pandemic era, he is doing the best work of his entire career. And if you look at Randy Orton's career, it's no Breeze Dango.
No?
He has an illustrious Hall of Fame career already behind him.
Absolutely.
And he is still doing the best work in 2020.
Yes. No,
How can you not give that man your title?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you that, I mean, it feels like it's an amazing mix of the Viper and the Apex Predator, which I didn't think that I'd get, because this is not this, you go from obviously his early days as the Legend Killer. He transforms into this Viper, this sadistic type character. He gets a little bit more calculated as the Apex Predator. But now you get the best of almost all of the worlds. You get the Legend Killer going after the older guys. You get the Apex Predator, who's the seasoned veteran. And you get the Viper, who is just a sadistic, twisted person. And again, I mean, it seemed like they were leading up to a match with Edge, and it almost makes me wonder if Edge was still active. Maybe, just maybe, they would have pulled the trigger to make that match a championship match. I don't know. But I knew a lot of people that were going into this. I mean, we put up a poll on the Game Changer Sports Network, and we asked people who do they think is going to win, and it was neck and neck, but the winner was Randy. People thought that at this point, give Randy the title. He's on a hot streak like crazy. But with that said, Jake, do you think the finish was good in the sense it didn't hurt either guy that bad, or do you think it still hurt the match quality in the end?
So I'm going to start that by saying after this match, I actually did legitimately think the pay-per-view was over. And this is no joke. It was in our group chat. I had turned off and turned on the Bruins game. And 100%, the reason I thought the pay-per-view was over and completely forgot there was another match was because Tom Phillips was extremely quick to hit that tagline, "You'll never see it coming." Oh,
right.
Okay. Typical WWE. Wasted my time watching this. That's
right.
the end. I didn't even think, oh no, it's like 9:30. There's no way it's over. The Bruins are still in the second period. Like, none of that correlated.
Well, I think that there's definitely people that could have happened to. Obviously, if you had watched Friday Night SmackDown, or people who watched Friday Night SmackDown, they knew that there was going to be the Fiend match. But I think that the way that they called it in the end, it sounded like they were wrapping up a big pay-per-view. It sounded like it was an emphatic, this is the end, stomping it down. So I could see why you did that. If I didn't have the list of matches in front of me while we were doing this, I would have forgotten it if we weren't doing a live stream either. So
with that being said, I'm sitting there thinking, this is the end of the pay-per-view. This is what I'm walking away with. Mm-hmm. This is awful. This is the worst possible ending to the second biggest event of the year. Mm-hmm. That's my initial thoughts.
Right.
So now I realize after the fact there was another match. I was wrong. And I completely over-dramatized that.
Wow. Did Jake just say that? Can we get that recorded, please?
Oh.
Recorded and sold out, please. That's amazing. No. But I do think that if it ended that way, it would have left a bad taste in people's mouths. I do agree with you there, Jake, because of all the hype above, you'll never see it coming. If the ending just was you weren't going to see a roll-up coming, that kind of sucks. So I completely see where you're going with there. But with that said, let's get to our main event match, which was Braun Strowman, as Universal Champion, defending his title against the Fiend Bray Wyatt. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match. Inside the arena, it wasn't like they went into the Firefly Funhouse. It wasn't like they went to the swamp. It was in the ring, around the ring. They went to the back a little bit, but came right back out. Martin, what are your thoughts on this match? As I have to now plug in my computer. Forgot to do that before. My computer's about to die. But what were your thoughts on the match? I felt that the start of it and the middle of it were a little sluggish, a tad boring. And besides, storyline progressive moves, it just felt like I was watching a Bray Wyatt Braun Strowman match from 4 years ago. Am I crazy?
Yeah, you're not crazy because I was expecting a lot more during that match. But you're right. It was a little slow at first, but then you get to the middle, and it's still a little slow. But as it got to the end, the match really picked up at the end.
Well, definitely at the end it picked up with what they had to do, what the Fiend had to do to put down Bray Wyatt, doing multiple moves, exposing the floorboards, which they don't do a lot of in the main roster. I know they do it in NXT a lot more during takeovers and stuff, especially if you're a Tommaso Ciampa and or Johnny Gargano person. But I thought that the finish with having the Fiend go over, we'll get to what happened afterwards later, was the right move. I don't think the Fiend could have afforded to lose this match, because you just can't have the Fiend lose a straight clean match this way, except if your name is Bill Goldberg. Jake, from what you did see at some point, what did you take away from the match?
So I have 4 problems with this match.
Okay, he's got 4 specific problems. I can't wait to hear them.
Number 1 is that I missed the beginning.
That's their fault.
That is absolutely my fault. I'm not pretending like it's not. Number 2 is that the Falls Count Anywhere match that didn't go anywhere.
It didn't.
What the hell was the point of the stipulation? Just make it a no DQ match, for crying out loud.
I completely agree with you. It went to the back one time, and then it came right back out. I was like, oh.
Exactly. It made no sense. Number 3. How in the world you're gonna have a Fiend match where it's pretty obvious at this point that Bray Wyatt, aka the Fiend, is very the same in the ring.
Very the same. Very the same in the ring.
This is the one time I'm going to say it. I don't need no stupid swamp match. I don't need no. Give me Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, whatever, either incarnation, and go into a little bit of a theatrical little skit in the middle of the match.
Right.
The one time you can get away with it where I won't criticize you for it is, they went to the back in a Falls Count Anywhere match. They ended up in the Firefly Funhouse, and all of a sudden, we're in a cinematic match real quick. Or a cinematic skit. Boom, Send it, move on, done.
Right.
There's nothing wrong, especially with the way you have built the Fiend. Use the Fiend to your strength and use the cinematic match where it belongs. Not on every single pay-per-view, which I will give the WWE credit. They did not put a cinematic match on this pay-per-view.
They did.
I will give them credit.
They definitely give credit to credit where it's due. They did not do that. But you'd think that the thing to do is to space it in a way that this was the show to have a cinematic match, especially when you have the Fiend there. When you have the Fiend there, he's one of the people, as you just said, that you can get away with doing stuff, especially when the character is that it's him versus a guy he just transformed into a monster. Not for nothing, no Alexa Bliss.
That was my 4th problem.
Nothing?
Right there.
I mean, why do anything with Alexa Bliss then? Why do this whole thing where he kidnaps her, that she does this whole interview where she says, I understand what a moth to a flame means. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Then Braun turning on her, throwing her in the air, the Fiend kind of saving her, but then not. What was the point of all of that to have her not even appear once in this match?
I fully agree. That was my 4th problem. There was no Alexa Bliss to be seen, which made that entire storyline leading into it seem pointless.
Pointless.
Yeah, I thought it was a little weird because as you said, the Alexa Bliss was a big part of the storyline, and I thought she was going to show up at some point, but no, you gave us no Alexa Bliss, and to me, I think they missed out on an opportunity with Alexa Bliss, and they could have had Nate Cross go out there as well and help her and try to save Bliss, but they didn't capitalize on any of that.
Wow, guys, real quick, some breaking news from NXT tonight. Breaking news. They're going to find out who's going to be the next world champion because next week we are getting a fatal 4-way 60-man Iron Man match.
Ooh.
Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Finn Balor versus Adam Cole, baby. In a fatal 4-way 60-man Iron Man match.
That's the
Wait.
first time
What
I've heard that.
Okay.
What stands out the most? I'm surprised I was able to do that so long. By
Okay,
the way,
sorry,
what stands out the most about that match?
Well, I mean, the one that stands out the most about the match is the fact that, I would think, is the fact that Cole's staying within the title contention. I guess that means he's not going anywhere soon.
That's not what stands out because you can just have him lose that match and move on. That's
Okay,
not-
so what to you is interesting in that match?
Can you name a single guy in that match that's not a former NXT World Champion?
You know, it's Jake. You're bringing up a point that me and Martin were talking about before. You had to rely on Tommaso Ciampa coming back, Adam Cole not going anywhere, regardless of where he's going, not going to that place yet.
He can't. Now he can't. No, now he physically cannot.
And Keith Lee debuting on Raw on Monday. What was your main event scene? It was nothing. It's Karrion Kross is now gone. So now you have, who'd you have, Dexter Lumis and Finn Balor? That was your main event? No, you can't do that. So Clinton is saying he thinks it's going to be either Cole or Balor who wins that match. Dean Yates is saying Balor.
Help me God, if this match reignites Gargano versus Tommaso, I might give up on NXT forever.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but I can see why you're scared. I think this might be a good thing where we're gonna get the little bits of that feud, but it's not gonna necessarily lead to more matches. It's kind of like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, who would be involved in matches with each other constantly, but then not actually have the feud. So that's
keep it like that.
Hopefully that's what happens here. But that's a huge match. I don't think I've ever seen a multi-man iron match before. Have you, Jake? I don't think I've ever seen that before.
TNA did it once, but that's TNA and they screwed it up. So,
okay. TNA tries everything, so I don't know if we can give them any credit. But wow, breaking news, guys, again, for those who are just hearing it now, fatal 4-way 60-man Iron Man match next week on NXT. Gargano, Ciampa, Balor, and Cole.
I'm using my smart brain. You know what else stands out about that?
What?
What comes back to Wednesday nights next week?
Oh, it's a great defensive move, Jake, and this is what I'm talking about. When there's defensive moves to be had, it's to be had. And AEW comes back to Wednesday nights starting next week. So that means they're getting 2 weeks where they're uncontested, and now they're going to have possibly, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, the biggest match in NXT history on their regular programming.
Isn't that also going to be the fallout from All Out episode?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No wonder why they're trying to stack the deck already then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the deck.
Yeah.
No. Next week. You said next week. That's going to be payback.
Payback.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But still, this might be the biggest match in NXT's history, just as its regular show, not the takeovers. But I mean, you have four former world champions in there. You have arguably at this time, I would have to say 3, but honestly, all of them are amazing wrestlers. All of them have awesome characters. This is going to be an awesome match. I mean, this is crazy. We might. Oh my God, I don't know what we're going to do for the stream. I'm going to be glued to my TV watching this. But we'll figure it out. So Jake, real quick, just because we talked about the rest of the card. Oh wait, no, you're about to miss.
Hold on, no. Let's go through the card with me real quick and then get to that.
All right, let's do that. So Jake, barring the last 2 matches we talked about, what did you think of the card? Obviously, Bayley wins her title, retains her title from Asuka. She then would end up not being able to help Sasha retain her title from Asuka. So Asuka leaves with one belt. Street Profits defeated Andrade and Garza. Mandy Rose defeats Sonya Deville. And Seth Rollins, with the help of Murphy, defeats Dominic and his father, Rey Mysterio, who is on the side. Just general, what are your thoughts on the show as far as those matches go? Did any of those matches stand out to you at all? If anything, say one that you really liked, one that you really hated.
Okay, actually, I got way more than that. First off, I'm glad we agreed that the Apollo Crews United States Championship match was useless. Got it. Moving on. I think the tag team title match was also useless given the way it went. They should have pulled the trigger on Andrade and Angel Garza. If not, they shouldn't be together.
Yep. 100%.
Now, the Mandy Rose Sonya Deville match went exactly how I thought it was after the Stalker incident.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They could have put on a better in-ring performance, but I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Right.
So
you get what you get.
Exactly. Then we move into the Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, whole shenagle. That was the best storytelling of the night.
Mm.
Down, bringing out Mysterio's mom, everything about that I loved.
I agree.
Straight down to Seth Rollins' Halloween Havoc 97 gear. Such a heel move. Such a heel move. I loved it. It was the greatest thing that he possibly could have done.
And Brandon, what's going on, man? Happy you're here. Did you miss any Dominic debut? We're just talking about him right now. You came at the perfect time. I said earlier with Martin that I thought that Dominic, why I think Dominic, as great as Pat McAfee did on NXT, why I think Dominic was better is that Dominic obviously is going to be, in my opinion, a wrestler in his future, because what he has more than anything else, besides skill set, besides agility, besides all that stuff, he has the ability to evict emotion. You wanted Dominic to beat up Seth Rollins. You wanted, every time he got pushed down, you wanted him to get back up. Every time he was knocking Seth Rollins, you were cheering like crazy. You were behind Dominic. You were emotionally invested in him. And that's also, listen, that's a part of that is the fact you have a great guy in Seth Rollins to work with who's an awesome heel when he wants to be.
Not only that, but you had Buddy Murphy, who is, if you notice throughout the match, if you notice cues, Buddy Murphy was cueing Dominic on every single turn onto where to be.
Yep. No, listen, they helped him. Listen, when you have a great supporting cast, you can put on an awesome match. And but I do think that, listen, you still have to be able to do what they need you to do. I thought the White Russian leg sweep off the top rope through a table, awesome spot. I never saw that happening. And then the ending with having Ray handcuffed to the ropes. He can't help his son. He's just out of reach. And the curb stomp, I thought, was perfect. So I think he had an awesome debut. And Martin, I mean, you can echo what you said before because Jake didn't hear him, because some of the people coming in right now didn't hear it. I think Dominic had an awesome showing.
Yes, he did. I feel that he had an amazing showing, and he showed a lot out of him on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot to prove, and it was make a break for him. And I think he won a lot of people over on Sunday.
No,
now,
definitely.
Martin, tell me this. The moment that he did his real dad's frog splash, did that pull at your heartstrings like it did mine?
Ooh.
Oh, yes, it did. Oh, yeah. Oh.
There's just something about a Mysterio doing a frog splash that just gets the tears going. I think there were onions in my pocket. I was like, oh, no, come on, man.
And then he went for the second one that got the knees up.
Yeah, I know.
He went up for the second one. I'm like, he's going to do it again. He's going to pull the Eddie in.
And again, someone, especially you, Jake, who, let's just be honest, you always go in major skepticism to WWE. He evicted emotion out of you.
Exactly.
You were going, oh my God, I want to know how this ends up because this is going to be good. I think a real great job from all of them. So that was.
I'm going to say overall, SummerSlam was a solid card.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to follow that up real quick by they ruined everything on Monday, but we'll get into that later.
We will. We'll get into that later. But let's talk about the thing that happened after the show was technically over because, listen, the tagline of "You'll never see it coming" had a lot of people guessing a lot of different things. It had people guessing is it the finishing moves of McIntyre and Randy Orton? Is Retribution going to be involved? And they really made you think it was going to be Retribution because they kept dropping those little promo packages showing you what Retribution's been doing. Who is Dominic as a new wrestler? He's
Rey Mysterio's son. Rey
Mysterio's son. Yes, I did hear about the KKK guy who was in part of the Thunderdome and he got banned. Whatever about that.
He's not the only one that's done something stupid on the Thunderdome, and all the Thunderdome has proven is that the WWE has the worst fan base in sports. The NBA has been doing this for a month now and hasn't had any of this.
I just think
does it for a week.
It just
proves they can't stop it.
That there are people who are trash, Jake.
Yeah, they had KKK. They had Chris Benoit.
Let's not get into it.
But it was bad. Bad stuff.
What?
What it also shows is that WWE has terrible quality control. I mean, how do you not have a fail-safe immediately if you see something gone? I mean, are you kidding me?
How?
It's crazy.
Pikachu was the image of the night.
Yes, Pikachu was the image of the night. But the point is that the ending was not any of the things we said. It was the big dog. Dun 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 dun. Coming out, the Fiend is not even fully celebrating his win of the championship. Roman Reigns spears the ever-loving crap out of him, starts wailing on him, rolls out of the ring, gets a chair, starts beating the crap out of Braun Strowman, and then goes in, another spear, holds up that belt. You know, he's wearing a shirt it was not the usual Roman Reigns shirt. It was wreck everything and leave or something to that effect. And then he leaves. And then we know Roman Reigns is going to show up again on Friday Night SmackDown. We're going to have to hear what his thoughts are. I'm going to go to Martin first because I can already tell Jake has his thoughts. I want to hear Martin.
I agree with that one. Okay. I do about to see something here with Jake. All right, so I think that so I thought it was Retribution or anybody like that, but I was not expecting Roman Reigns come back and destroy the Fiend and Bray Wyatt. The Fiend and Braun Strowman. I was not expecting that. And to me, when he attacked Braun and the Fiend, it kind of looked a little heelish to me.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of looked like he was starting to get into a little bit of a heel turn, which I swear I'm hoping this is where WWE is going with this. I hope it's where they're going because I could see him going on a heel turn right now. I mean the story is set. He could be like, oh, you guys did not support me when I was home and stuff like that, and he could be like, I'm sick and tired of the fans and stuff like that. And if they can pull this heel turn off, which I doubt it's gonna be a heel turn, I think it's still gonna be a babyface Reigns, it would be amazing.
I think that you make a lot of good points there, Martin. I think one of them is that, you really need to change the character of Roman Reigns if this is what they're doing. The thing is that he did heelish things, but he did it to heels. He did it to the Fiend and he did it to Braun Strowman. So you easily can just turn this into Roman Reigns is, still a good guy, which I hope they don't. Brandon asks, does Roman get his title run now that he was supposed to get from beating Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania? All I know is that we know that Payback this Sunday, we're going to get the triple threat, the Fiend, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns. And we're going to have one night to build it. One night. So I really sincerely hope that unless this is a major change to Roman Reigns' character, that please, for the love of God, do not give us the big dog, doggity dog, bark, bark, bark as Universal Champion, and it's just the same old Roman Reigns, because that would really, really suck. Jake, you are sitting back menacingly. You look like Dr. Evil when Austin Powers would come into a room. I know that there is freaking sharks with freaking laser beams on their head somewhere in your house. So tell us, what were your thoughts on Roman Reigns' surprising return on SummerSlam?
Are you ready for my rant?
Yes, I am.
I know Martin's ready.
Hold on. Let me get you a seat position. So.
All right, so you spent all this build-up and all this time building up this tagline of "You'll never see it coming," and all we get is Roman Reigns and his brand new freaking team. But you built it all night. You talked about it all night. What didn't we see at all during SummerSlam by the time it went off the air?
Retribution.
What was it? What didn't we see?
Retribution.
Retribution.
Retribution. Now, what was Retribution? You're gonna spend all this time telling me that these guys need to be serious contenders and seriously have a gripe with the WWE, and that they are second biggest event of the year. They're not gonna do anything.
Now, Jake, can I?
With the WWE, and they're not gonna attack the second biggest event of the year. How does that make sense?
Can I ask you? Can I make one question for you? I'm not giving them credit. I just want to ask you one question. If it turns out that Roman Reigns has something to do with Retribution, does it make sense then? And he's walking away. He's obviously
He's out of here.
no, well, because I'm
Help
asking.
me, God.
He's back.
If Roman Reigns has anything to do with Retribution, one, he better be a fucking heel, and two, it's already dead in the water.
So you don't want to see Roman Reigns as the leader of the Retribution?
God, no. Not a chance in hell. I said it in our group chat perfectly. Retribution has to be people that actually have an issue with the WWE. You need to give me an Enzo and Cass. Bring them back. You need to give me even Ciampa makes sense because he was brought up and done nothing with. Give me a Dijak who was brought up in January and did nothing.
Right, I mean,
all these NXT guys, Bobby Roode, give me Finn Balor, give me anybody that actually has a real problem. Not someone that's been force-fed down our throats by the WWE for the last 3 years. He doesn't have a problem with that company.
It's the thing is this, is that, there's people who are, suspecting who is Retribution. On Monday Night Raw, we saw that they came in, they attacked Dominic and Ray and Seth and stuff like that. And what people were able to name out were some of the people in the group who they believe were there that night was Shane Thorne, Mia Yim, Dominic Dijakovic, Dio Madden, Chelsea Green. Now, again, they have not decided who officially is in this group yet. We don't know. They could be figuring that out. But here's my question, though, and I think, Jake, you're making a very good point. This group to succeed must either A, be filled with all people that have genuine gripes against WWE, or have a figurehead that has a genuine gripe against WWE. If you're telling me at the end of this that Dominic Dijakovic is the leader, that's disappointing. Because why? That makes no sense. If anybody, of the group I just said, honestly, the only one that has any real grief is Chelsea Green. Because she's the only one that can have a hot mic and say, you know what? My boyfriend loved your company and did everything you asked of him. He humiliated himself. He lowered his goals and his ceiling to nothing to make you happy, and you still left him to the curb. You still kicked him out when things got hard. Fuck you. Ooh, sorry, cursed. So that's what she has to say. That's what she has to do. But otherwise, there's nobody else in that group I just said that makes me feel like they want Retribution. The name Retribution needs to mean something. So
I could be sold on Dijak if it's presented correctly.
Sure.
As the leader.
Correctly, it's good.
Everybody else in that group, what do they have to be mad about? Ooh, I spent 2 years in NXT.
Ooh, Mia Yim. I had one women's championship match that I blew because I'm not really that good of a wrestler. Oh, shucks. I mean, come on, guys.
What is Kaden Carter mad about? Who is Kaden Carter?
Who is she? Like, I don't know.
It's definitely
work.
Something. No.
Beginning for Retribution to work, it had to be bring back Rusev as the leader with Enzo and Cass, Austin Aries, Rich Swann, people that actually got released.
Enzo and Cass. If Enzo and Cass are in this group, it could be really freaking good.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Any act that was hotter than Enzo and Cass ever to come out of NXT organically.
None.
Nope.
One single person.
No one who has not been put into a main event spot. because there were tons of single wrestlers that came up that got put into great spots. But that's not what we're talking about.
Forget the main event spot. The day that Enzo and Cass debuted after WrestleMania, there wasn't a single person in that crowd that did not know every damn word Enzo said.
That's very true.
Hottest organic act NXT has ever had.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean,
real gripe.
And
they
again,
should be in Retribution.
And they put them in the weakest part of their company, which is their tag team division. You'd think that they would thrive like crazy.
Clinton got the belts.
Never got the belts. It's crazy. Clinton makes a point. Arrive, wreck anything, and leave. Sounds familiar. Arrive, raise hell, and leave. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Jesus Christ. I mean, that does sound like the most PG way that you can do that shirt.
Everything is a mimic of something else in the wrestling industry. You will never see something original ever again. It's been done everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the thing with a lot of society, to be honest with you, Jake. I think it's true with movies. I think it's true with clothing and cars. I think it is. Jake, do you get headaches when you get heated?
How do you honest, Luther, I do actually get headaches. I just ignore them. But I do this for you guys. I love you guys. I get these headaches for you.
He takes Advil during his breaks on the show, crushes them, and then snorts them up his nose.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that Retribution needs to have a direction. It needs to have a purpose. It needs to, again, the name Retribution. What is it that they are seeking vengeance for? That has to be a clear, definitive thing. It cannot just be, we're mad because WWE is the big company and we're tired of it. It can't be that. It needs to be that there's some personal hatred they have with the company. So that
if it's the group that we think it is, like that was we just talked about, the Mia Yim, the Dominic, they really should have literally spray painted the most famous words in the WWE on the ring. Creative has nothing for you.
Bad creative. That's what it should have said.
That would have stood better with the group that we think it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Roman is the leader.
Right.
To start, getting me to watch SummerSlam was a struggle enough, and I watched Monday Night Raw the next night.
Yeah, I definitely, especially because you wanted to see what ended up happening with that. I mean, on Monday Night Raw, we did get a couple of interesting things. Keith Lee made his debut, and now, Jake, you had your rant, but Martin has been foaming at the mouth to talk about this. I'm not going to waste any more time. Martin, Keith Lee came out, started his now feud with Randy Orton, arguably the best guy in WWE, arguably to me one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and they're going to have a match at Payback. I want to hear your uncensored, unscripted thoughts on how you think Keith Lee's call-up has gone so far.
Martin, if you need to say the word fuck, say the word fuck.
At this point, me and Jake have, so you can do it too.
All right, anyway, here we go. All right, so you have Keith Lee coming out, which is, we hear him getting called up, which is great. I love it. And I'll give one thing. That Keith Lee theme song is awful, but after hearing what he said, after hearing the reason why they didn't give him his own theme song, I give him that. The reason why they didn't give him his own theme song is because it was CFO and they left the company, and they definitely want the wrestlers to have things from non-CFO, which I understand. All right, so the promo is pretty good. All right, so now on to the match. So the problem I have with this is you have Keith Lee, who is one of the best wrestlers you have. The first problem I have is he's wearing a shirt. Why is he wearing a shirt? I mean, I never see him wear a damn shirt.
Ever.
And the pants, oh my. The pants, it looks like a damn skirt. Like, why do you have him like that? But then this is where I have a problem. The biggest problem I have is you have Keith Lee, one of the best wrestlers you have right now, NXT, and you have him called up, and he is just there to move forward the WWE Championship feud. Why in the fuck is he? Why? Just why? I mean, you. Why is he doing this? I mean, you have an amazing. He is an amazing talent, and you have him do some. And you have him stuck between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. And why? Just why? I just have him stand alone. And why do you have him doing that feud? I mean, I get it. You want to get Drew McIntyre over because he got punched 2 times. But why have Keith Lee do it? Why have Keith Lee be in the middle of this? That's the biggest problem I have right there.
No, I mean, Martin, you make a very good point because we were just talking about how hot Randy Orton is right now. And I mean, Jake and I were making the arguments of maybe they should have pulled the trigger with Randy Orton being champion. And with that said, and I agree with Clinton because we all just need to bask in his glory, of course. But the problem is, what do we think is going to happen at Payback? Are we going to pretend that Keith Lee's going to beat Randy Orton? Of course he's not.
Is there any believability in Randy Orton needing to even associate with Keith Lee?
No.
At this stage, he threw a punch at Keith Lee. If I'm Randy Orton, I'm walking out of the ring like, okay, see you again some other time, kid.
Right. Why even engage? Why wouldn't he say, bro, who the hell are you? You've been here for a cup of coffee. How about you figure out who the hell you are before you even think that you can be in this ring and lace up your boots with me? So, to me, it makes no sense. Why would you not have Keith Lee come in and have a feud with literally anyone else? Have him come out there. He's about to do his, well, I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to try to do his voice. I can't do it. And then have somebody annoying come in and interrupt him. Have it be, I don't know. I can't even think of who the hell it would be. But just have someone come in there and annoy the crap out of him and he beats him up at Payback. Why Randy Orton? And you know he's going to lose, guys. He's going to lose his first big feud 1 week in. 1 freaking week. He's going to lose it. What the freak are you thinking?
Why? Just why? If this was a SmackDown,
Martin,
yes.
Both of you, well, first off, Martin, I don't even know if you're 21 yet, but I'm going to say the sentence anyway. When coronavirus is done and over with, we all need to hit the bar so we can all go up to as many girls as possible and say the exact sentence. They call me a lot of things. You can call me limitless. What the fuck was that?
Is there already a problem that I have that as my Tinder profile? They call me limitless.
First off, nobody calls you anything. You say it yourself.
Oh no!
You say, "Oh yeah, my name's Spike."
No, I mean, it sounded so corny. The way that Randy Orton threw the punch and Keith Lee caught it, and it looked so corny. I give Randy Orton a ton of credit. He's selling it. But it's just bad. I use that line every time.
I fully believe you, Luther.
I do.
Believe you.
I do believe you. That's great. Peters is trying to say that Randy Orton's going to get his ass kicked. I don't think so. I think he's going to win the match.
No, you can't. In the middle of that feud with Drew McIntyre, which obviously isn't over yet.
No,
Not evident by the rest of Monday Night Raw.
No,
you're not going to have Orton lose that match.
No.
It's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
No.
So those were some big things that came out of Monday Night Raw. We are now an hour and 30 minutes
about Monday Night Raw.
Oh, go ahead.
Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax.
Yes. Dude.
Why?
Because WWE loves to take 2 random singles.
Time out. I just wanted to say, Luther has the next greatest line. My wife hates it too. That's amazing. That's incredible. Luther, you win. Tonight, you're MVP. That's the greatest back and forth line. I use that line every day. My wife hates it too. Fantastic. Luther, you are a god among men. But back to your point, Jake. Continue your rant.
The WWE absolutely loves to take two single stars who hate each other at the time, put them together, cause a little friction, make them tag team champions. We're supposed to buy into it. No, fuck you.
Oh,
We're just saying it at this point. We're done. we're done.
oh.
Done. The kid gloves are off with the WWE. They should not be making mediocre mistakes. This is the shit I would expect out of AEW.
Well, the problem is this, Jake. It's that when they did it, because like one of the best one of the hashtag Luther rules, absolutely, Clint. One of the most recent ones for the men was when they took Sheamus and Cesaro after their best of 7 and put them together. Now, I gave them the credit for that because one, it was not where I thought we were going with it, and two, neither of those guys were doing anything anyway. Okay, and
it turned out to be phenomenal.
So Sheamus and Cesaro, which they ended up being awesome. The gimmick was amazing. The bar was fantastic. And you know what the bar did? Is it made the tag team division. They needed those guys there. They said, guys, we don't need you in the mid-card fighting for the U.S. or Intercontinental title. We need you in the Raw or the SmackDown Tag Team Championship circles making these divisions great. And every match they had, they were awesome. So I give them a ton of credit for that. This makes no fucking sense because you have two of these badass women in a division that has nothing. There's nothing in either the SmackDown women's or the Raw women's. Hell, the NXT one too. They are so paper thin. It's crazy. So you finally have Shayna Baszler, who doesn't have a Becky Lynch that for some reason she can't beat after she has to leave. Bullshit to that. But you're telling me that you have her back now. She has nobody in her way on the main roster. Perfect. She has a clear path. She can do a path of destruction. You bring Nia Jax. Okay, so Nia Jax, people don't really like that much, but she brings up heat and she has a look too. Fine. You're going to put them in a tag team match. You're going to put them in a tag team and make them feud for the tag team titles. And
what do you think?
Nice explanation of, well, how about you help me win the tag team titles? And Shayna's like, well, you know, if I help you win, then you just stay out of my way. What does that mean? What does that mean?
What?
I want to hear Martin's opinion.
Okay, so you got two singles competitors who do not need to be in that tag team whatsoever. I mean, it would have been. I mean, you got two tag teams that would have been great to face Sasha and Bayley at Payback. You have the Iconics. You have Louis Riley and Liv Morgan, who are two actual tag teams who can face the Iconics, but who can face Sasha and Bayley. But then you have them pair up two dominating women who really need to be in the singles division, and I just do not get the point of having those two together like at all. There is a lot more you can do with those two than put them in a random tag team and have them get the title. And I feel that Sasha and Bayley are gonna lose those titles very soon.
Well, there's two things with that because you make a great point. I do think they're gonna lose the titles soon. Number one, I want to say on Raw this past week we had a 6-woman tag team match, and they had Zelina Vega come out and actually wrestle. Great. She got into the ring and the Iconics were already there. Yep. You're telling me the Iconics don't get even an entrance anymore? The only true organic women's tag team from NXT, two incredibly talented women, especially Peyton Royce, and you don't give them a freaking entrance? And then added to what you just said, Martin, yes, the storyline needs to be that Sasha and Bayley are having issues because Sasha lost her belt at SummerSlam. She's pissed. Bayley is kind of, in the middle of how she feels with things. And it should be that they go into a match at Payback against a well-oiled machine tag team. A tag team that trust each other, have a good dynamic with each other, and that team beats the disjointed and angry Bayley and Sasha. And that team should have been the Iconics. But
that would be too easy.
But But just because something's simple and makes sense doesn't mean it's bad.
I agree.
This doesn't make any sense. If anything, the match at Payback should have been Iconics taking on Sasha and Bayley, and then have Shayna Baszler take on Nia Jax. Because
Boom, right there is perfect.
NXT Shayna Baszler would never have done this. Never. She would have, you want me to tag team with you, the has-been, the one that hadn't done a single right thing her entire career here, that constantly messes up everything? You? Get the hell out of here. How about this? How about I go break your arm and I'll make it that you never wrestle again? I'll see you Sunday. You want to wrestle Sunday? You're wrestling me Sunday. Boom!
All right, so we got 20 minutes left. I know you want to get to AEW, but I have one more.
Please. No, please.
With Raw.
Yes, please.
How the hell are we 3 or 4 weeks in, and I still don't know what the fuck the point of Raw Underground is?
Don't know. They still haven't expanded that. Unless
I should at least know what it is for and why it is there by now.
We said, listen, one thing they could have done was the Hurt Business took over Raw Underground that 1 week. What if it was them running Underground and then him, MVP, trying to hype up Bobby Lashley as a legitimate fighter for him to challenge Brock Lesnar? But, because that would have been cool. Because I said, think about this image of Bobby Lashley every week. He's beating the crap out of guys, and he's saying, come on, Brock, where are you? You're a real fighter. You're a cage fighter. You're a former UFC champion. Why aren't you going to step to me? Are you afraid what I'm going to do to you? Are you afraid? Is that why you were happy when I went to Bellator and you stayed in UFC? And then have one day the door flies off the handle and it's Brock Lesnar coming into Underground and he's saying, let's go, bitch, here we go. That would have been cool.
Should have been day one. That should have been day one.
Or at least build it up from day one. They have proven that they have no idea what they're doing with Raw Underground. They are flying by.
They advertised a match that didn't even happen. They cut it from the freaking show, and they advertised it the week before. Now, I don't know about you, but in the legal business, we call that false advertising. You could actually technically sue the WWE for that.
Yes, I'm sure you would if you could, Jake. But in wrestling, we just call that a bait and switch. But there's nothing to switch. There's nothing. No. Okay, we're good.
Nothing.
Now, Clinton, I agree with you, man. Lesnar-Lashley needs to happen. I think that'd be a great match. I think you could do a lot of good storytelling. I think they would have really good chemistry. But for the love of God, do something. Do something.
All right, so before we get AEW, I gotta say, back to the Shayna and Nia. Why, does the Jessamine Duke and Maria Shafir, do they even matter anymore?
Nope.
No, you have 1 week, you have Shayna with those two, and that makes sense because they have the same background and everything is available and everything with them is perfect. But Shayna and Nia,
I don't know. It left a very bad taste in my mouth. Listen, you had a few really good, you had at least a week and a half of really good content from WWE. You had a good NXT episode. You had 2 weeks of good NXT. Then you had SmackDown, which I thought was actually pretty good. You went into SummerSlam with a solid card that was still pretty good. All you had to do was keep that momentum going. And no, you flopped on it. Clinton makes an interesting point. He says if we're going to have the Lesnar and Lashley match, not the Suplex City, Lesnar automatically wins. He automatically wins. I want a legit match between Lashley and Lesnar. I guess you can find ways to make that happen. I don't know.
Put that match in Raw Underground and market the fuck out of it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Put it in Raw Underground.
Done. That is so easy. All right, let's move to AEW because we have 13 minutes, 17 minutes left. Math's not my strong suit.
Right. So let's tell you. Math's not your strong suit. Calculus and physics is not mine. So
exactly.
Let's not do this. So let's talk about this. I mean, a lot happened with AEW. Their schedules got a little messed up because of the NBA playoffs, so they had to do shows on Thursday and on Saturday with All Out. It's All Out, right? Yeah. So here's the biggest thing to take away from it. I thought one thing fantastic. Thank God. Brandy Rhodes and what's her name did not win the tag team, the Deadly Draw. Instead, it was Diamante and I forgot the other one.
Ivelisse.
I thought it was Ivelisse. Awesome decision. Great move by them. Do you guys have any thoughts on that besides just the point that it was the best move they could have done?
I think I was surprised. I thought they were going to do Ali and Brady winning, but having Diamante and Ivelisse winning, that's really good right there. And now you got two people that can now you got two people who can now maybe challenge Cena for the AEW. What was that all out?
Yeah, no,
I called this last week. Did I not?
No, I
Yes,
mean
you did.
I just had no faith that it would happen. But I think it ended up being the best thing you could have done.
My exact sentence last week, for those of you that weren't here to listen, was the perfect swerve. And what I think they are going to do is have Ivelisse and Diamante beat the Nightmare Sisters.
Mm.
And lo and behold,
they did it.
I am the AEW prophet. I
Now-
am Mr. Brody Lee.
Now, well, so I was just about to get to that because I think the biggest thing to take out of this, I'll get to Brody Lee, but there's one thing I need to talk about that really bothered me with this. There was the match, the Elite, which was with the members Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on the Dark Order. Jake, what is the point of the AEW tag team titles?
To make Kenny Omega and Adam Page look strong.
Well, they don't even do that.
But Hangman wasn't even in the match.
It was when I saw them come out, I said, is Hangman not even going to show up for ringside? Is he not even going to – he's not even going to be involved? It is beyond infuriating to me because as we've said on this program a number of times, the tag team division in AEW is the best on paper that you have. And I do not understand why they consistently do not do anything with the rest of the tag team division besides having these hodgepodge, spot fest, multi-man matches. I'm tired of that. Give me tag team wrestling. And I don't understand why we're just so hell-bent on keeping the titles on Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. What's the point?
I have two solutions or answers here. Number one starts with a statement. Who was in FTR's corner when they were in the ring?
Tully Blanchard.
Tully Blanchard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I feel like, and this is where I'm at with how it's gone, I feel like they want a crowd to finally make the heel turn of Adam Page. Because we all know it's coming. We all know Adam Page is going into this new Four Horsemen with FTR and somebody else, which at this point is literally just pick a name out of a hat, for crying out loud.
Right.
So they are slowly, and when I say slowly, I mean, my God, my dogs sleep like much more. Like
I saw a turtle riding a snail faster than this build-up's going, Jake.
Exactly, but the build-up's there, and there's subtleties in it every week, just like Hangman not being there ringside. Very small subtleties that make you think that this Four Horsemen is right around the corner.
Well, you also would think that because who's next in line for the tag titles, Jake?
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea.
Well,
if I look
we're about to find that out. We're about to find that out soon because tomorrow night AEW is having a number one match. Yeah, they're having a number one contenders match tomorrow night.
But that's weird to me because if I look at the rankings right now, Dax and Cash are already number one.
So then they're probably going to win that match.
Right. But I mean, there's no point to having a tag team match then. Like, there's no reason.
I don't disagree. However, right around the corner.
Where is it?
So, or Page. No, Page.
It's All Out. All Out is right around the corner.
Oh, right. Oh,
It is All Out.
I missed what you said. I think that in their corner. My apology. Go ahead.
Jacksonville.
Is All Out. All Out is AEW's WrestleMania.
Right.
So if you're going to pull the trigger on any of this, this is the only way at this point I will buy it. This whole buildup has to come to an end at your biggest event of the year.
And it has to set up a major shift with having the FTR, Paige, and Tully Blanchard being a group and Sean Spears being a group. That's the only way you can really have it. It has to be a big surprise, or it has to be a big climactic reason for it to happen. But Jake, let's say that does happen, and that is awesome. I just find that there are a lot of tag teams where they're just doing weird things. Butcher and the Blade it's Butcher and the Blade and what's his and now Pentagon and Ray Phoenix. Now they're joining forces.
So the Butcher. Let's back up the train. The Butcher and the Blade were never supposed to be here long term. Andy Williams, the guitarist of Every Time I Die, was supposed to be taking 3 months of touring, 3 months of AEW, 3 months of touring, 3 months of AEW. The pandemic completely screwed that all up, and now he's been AEW nonstop. They are the exception to this. So they had to find a quick last-minute fix for the Butcher and the Blade because Andy Williams isn't touring.
So they're going to put them with the Lucha Bros, which I guess that means the Death Triangle or whatever it is doesn't exist anymore. Like, I'm just confused. Like, what?
I have no idea what's going on with Pac. Absolutely.
Is it COVID? Is it COVID that he just can't travel?
No, because he's in the UK. He would be able to travel back by now.
Right. Now he can travel back at this point. So, I don't know. I agree that that All Out needs to be. Let's put it this way, Jake. You need to do it now.
Yep,
if All Out ends with them still as champions, even if Hangman freaking runs Omega over in his car. Oh, by the way, Omega's being the cleaner, but not being the cleaner, but being silly, but being serious, which is dumb. Just pick one. But whatever. But if it ends in any way, shape, or humanly form with them as tag team champions, at that point, just don't do tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
Seriously, Jake, at that point, those titles mean less than the WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Championships.
It also seems like they were starting their build to the Trios division.
They might be.
Oh, that definitely got ruined.
Right.
They were definitely starting the build to the Trios division, and I think the Death Triangle was probably going to be the forefront of that division.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, they're badass. They can definitely do it. Dean Yates makes a point for the Four Horsemen thing, which is interesting. We're talking about this on episode 4. He says Brian Pillman Jr., not Sean Spears. What do you think of that, Jake?
Pillman can't yet because of his MLW contract, so he can only show up on AEW Dark due to it being on YouTube. He cannot actually wrestle on national television due to the MLW contract. Right. It has not worked in like MJF. It's not worked in like Wardlow. And it seems like MLW is not budging on Brian Pillman.
Right. Well, now, yes, Dean. I pulled up the WCW Cruiserweight Championships. As a wrestling historian, he is shocked. I know what that is. So I appreciate that, Dean. But the last 10 minutes here, the last actually 8 minutes of our show, if we go a little bit over, I don't care. We have to talk about the biggest thing that happened on AEW. Now, the week before, me and Jake were having a conversation. We had it here on the show of the issue with AEW where you did not feel that anyone was a real threat to Cody Rhodes. I remember the guys at Busted Open were talking about this, where you looked at what you had and you say to yourself, who am I really going to buy in as a credible threat? Because it wasn't Lance Archer, it wasn't Brian Cage, it wasn't Jake Hager, it wasn't a bunch of guys. And then someone said Brody Lee. Even though Brody Lee had already kind of lost his world championship match, he's still in the Dark Order. Could you do something with Brody Lee? Well, guys, they did a thing with Brody Lee. Martin, I want you to go first. I mean, Brody Lee went into that ring and absolutely mauled Cody Rhodes. Feelings of Brock Lesnar, John Cena-esque uncomfortable levels, and would walk out with the TNT Championship. What are your thoughts on that, Martin?
All right, before I want to say something, I want to say this.
Oh.
So this was just, so Cody being attacked and all that stuff, it was just to run him off for a few months because he's going off to shoot a TV show.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's why they shoot him off. but now it's in a match. So I thought it was really good. I'm surprised that they had Brody Lee squash Cody Rhodes. I thought it'd be a back and forth match, but no, it's just quick and simple, get in, get out. And I liked it. It made Brody Lee look like a legit monster, and it did his job. And after the match, that was just amazing. That was great as well. And I think that Brody Lee as AEW TNT champion, I think it's gonna be pretty good.
I think it's going to save the Dark Order because otherwise the Dark Order is useless. I guess now the storyline is going to be that you insulate Brody Lee. They'll defend him as he defends his title. Jake, what was your take on what they ended up doing? Now, we know that it was reshot because of the things that had came out where Rowan had made his debut or whatever incorporation he was doing, have them, and he ended up helping him win. They reshot it to what they gave us on Saturday. What was your thoughts on that?
They could not have done that any better. Having Brody Lee absolutely destroy the 13, 14, 15-1 Cody Rhodes like it was nothing, reestablished the Dark Order like it was nothing.
Yep. Instantly.
It was a work of art. The only issue I have with it is now we have to worry about, okay, when is Roman going to debut? Because now we know he's going to.
Right.
They should have just let it play.
I also think, though, either just let it play or do a thing where they see each other and they go, no, I don't want anything to do with you. No, you go that way, I go this way, we don't talk. Because that would be kind of, it's funny, but it's also us saying, God, no, whenever we're involved with each other, something bad happens. So you just go do your thing, and then later, down the road, let them invertibly have to run into each other. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, no, I mean, at this point now, Cody Rhodes is 18-2. He's still, shockingly, even with that loss, is still number 3 on the rankings list because he's behind Lance Archer now and MJF at number 1. So, I mean, he could really easily come back and just pick up where he left off, but having them just absolutely bludgeon him was fantastic, and it not just reestablished Dark Order, it reestablished Brody Lee. The whole reason you brought Brody Lee was for him to be this type of person, and he did it. Because now, Jake, you can't say he's the false prophet.
I can't. No, exactly.
He did it. He did it. He said, I'm going to bring a championship. I'm going to prove that I'm the best here, and he did. Question now with him as TNT champion, will we at some point see Moxley and him face each other, not for the titles, but in a champion versus champion match?
I hope God not.
I hope to God not either. Because that's some WWE.
MJF's taking that belt.
Yeah.
Let's make that very clear. This build-up is
has to.
prime.
Yeah, it has to have it all out. MJF is right there and ready for that AEW World title run. Just give it to him.
It would be a crime if after all of these weeks of great promos, great graphics, great everything from MJF, if you have him lose to Jon Moxley. It would be such a devastating thing.
If the match is done correctly, and I know Jon Moxley can do it correctly, I would still buy into him winning. But it would take a lot.
It would take a real lot, Jake. And then it's like, well, now what do you do with MJF? Because to me at this point, he's done, I just think he has just too much credibility. I think he has too much credibility not to be champion. Then what's he going to do then? He's going to go after the TNT title? You can't have MJF do nothing.
No.
So you have to have him do something, and I think this something needs to be AEW champion because I'll just say it, I'm getting rather bored of Jon Moxley. I'm sorry. He can do as many promos as he wants up against a chain link fence in the middle of a dark alley. It doesn't mean anything to me. We're past the mystique, past the coolness of Jon Moxley. I'm sorry. He's a better chaser than he is champ. Have him lose to MJF, be absolutely infuriated he let this punk kid beat him, and have him just go crazy to try to get back in the title match and totally turn him. Now, you can even do fun little things because a certain person doesn't work for WWE anymore. You can have him flying off the handle where they have to call people like, dude, you got to help us. John is going nuts. John is tearing things apart. John is unhinged. We've never seen John like this before. There's just a lot more you can do with an unhinged, very angry, and very hungry Jon Moxley versus Jon Moxley defending the title.
That way may or may not be a long buildup if you're going in the direction I think you do, because I think you are, because Renee Young reportedly has a 6-month no-compete clause for wrestling companies only.
So what I'm saying is you can even get around it without her being involved. You can have, you can still have the character of the wife be involved, but not have her seen on TV. You can say, I've spoken to his wife. You can have a lot of things that you can do there creatively. But the point is that I'd rather see Moxley chase than be champion. I think we all agree to that. That's a better case. Well, guys, we are coming down to the final second. In fact, you're in a little bit of overtime now with Squared Circle Talk. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who stayed with us throughout the whole stream, those who liked and shared and are following us. Make sure you do follow us.
My voice hurts.
I know, because we were screaming, man. WWE made us angry tonight. But guys, make sure you not only like, but follow Game Changer Sports Network. This way you can always get notifications for when our show or our baseball, football, basketball, hockey shows come on. That would be awesome. I want to say, again, a big thank you to Talk Interference Sports, a big thank you to Circus Monkey Sports, and to everyone who's following us and watching us on Twitch right now. Please, guys, make sure you go to Twitch and follow us over at official_GCSN. And with that said, I want to give a big thank you to Martin. I want to give a big thank you to Jake. My name is Nick. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you next week.